Okay guys, I'm reviewing another 35mm full frame lens, so of course you're gonna assume that I'm gonna be really upset, but I really liked using the Niccolls 35mm f1.2 because I like that shallow depth of field look and separation I could get. And look at this now. I've got a brand new Viltrox 35mm f1.2. It's their LAB series. This is their premium line of optics. And I've actually really been enjoying the Viltrox lenses lately. I played with the 135mm LAB series, really like that. I also enjoyed their little compact 24mm APS-C f1.7 lens, really enjoyed that. And so now I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna come around on 35mm as long as they have this fast f1.2 aperture. I'm Chris Niccolls, this is PetaPixel. Let's see if I'm still happy at the end of the video.
You know what's great? When someone reaches out to sponsor a PetaPixel episode, and it's for a product I've already been spending my own money on for years because it's awesome. That's the case with Clean My Mac, software I've been using and loving for years. Clean My Mac is the best option for keeping your Mac a well-organized hub of creativity, instead of a trash heap of random files and malware. The new Clean My Mac interface is beautiful, intuitive, and responsive, and it allows you to quickly see any potential concerns that might keep your Mac from running at its absolute best. So looking here using the very quick Smart Care feature, I can see that there's a few massive files on my internal drive, some performance optimizations that I could make. And what's this? For some reason I have 7 copies of this mediocre landscape photo that I shot. Clean My Mac will quickly address all of my negligence. If you want to experience the peace of mind that Clean My Mac has brought me, well, just click the link in the description below and you can get a free 7-day trial to try it out for yourself. And if you like it, use my coupon code PetaPixel for 20% off. Thanks so much to Clean My Mac for sponsoring this episode.
So I just want to talk about lens mount here for a little bit before we get really into it. So the Viltrox 135mm 1.8 LAB lens, we tested that on Sony E mount, but it's also available for Nikon Z mount, which is interesting because they don't normally open up their lens mount. But this particular 35mm 1.2, so far I just have it on E mount. I don't know if they're going to release it on Z mount. That would absolutely compete against the Niccolls 35mm f1.2. Now, in addition to that, when it comes to Sony E mount, there was a Sigma 35mm f1.2, but it is getting hard to find now. I think they're going to discontinue it. I don't know that for sure, but it is hard to find. And when we did talk to Sigma here in Japan, they did say that they are going to make a new 35mm f1.2, so they're obviously planning on updating that lens formula, so that would make sense. And the reason I point this out is I don't want to make too many comparisons between this and the Nikon, but just to give context for the size, weight, and bulk, I am going to mention a few things. So why don't we just get into the body handling here right away. Regardless, a 35mm f1.2 lens is going to be a chunky lens. There's no getting around that, but I do like that the lens is beveled quite steeply so my fingers fit in between here and the grip, and that's not interfering. And the diameter of this lens barrel is ever so slightly skinnier than the Niccolls. This is sporting a 77mm filter thread instead of the 82mm filter that we have on the Nikon. And I do like filters on here being small as possible, just to make them a bit more affordable, because I'm absolutely using a 2-stop ND on here right now, just because if I'm shooting f1.2 on a bright sunny day, I might push over that 8,000th of a second shutter speed and get out of my mechanical shutter, and I don't want to do that if I can help it. This is also a fairly heavy lens, although it is lighter than the Niccolls by about 140 grams. So this is going to be about 920 grams. It's still a lot to carry around, but it's a little bit lighter. We do have the autofocus manual focus selector switch on there. We've got 2 customizable function buttons, which I like. We also have the top LCD display. We saw this on the 135mm LAB lens as well. And this just gives you things like a live aperture ring. I can turn the aperture and actually see it clicking through my apertures there. It's a little bit slow, but it does work. We also get focusing distance, which I like on there. The aperture ring, though, is exactly like the 135, and that's a downside because first off, it makes a really annoying noise.
Ew.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I hate it.
And also, it's not indexed properly to the apertures as far as stops go. So I prefer having, for example, 3 clicks, 3rd stop increments, click, 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 in between my apertures. But this varies, it just depends. So it's kind of annoying. You can't just do it by sound or feel. I can also set this click here on or off so the aperture can turn smooth smoothly, and I'm honestly tempted to do that on this lens more than any other lens that I ever use, just because it's kind of an obnoxious noise, and for video shooters you might prefer that smooth aperture as well anyways. But the lens is solidly built. It's got a nice strong metal frame. This is a weather sealed lens. Got a nice rubber ring around the lens mount as well. And to finish things off, we've got a plastic lens hood here, just simple bayonet style on there, works well enough, should block a lot of this extraneous sunlight. And like the other Viltrox LAB lenses, there is a USB-C port right there in the mount underneath the weather sealing. I like that, and that's where I can update the lens's firmware, so that's a smart addition. I do like that I can mash the lens up against this fence, and at f1.2 this all just disappears into nothingness land. So this little garage here, this garbage area, I've been shooting in this place for like 13 years. Every time I come by, I take a shot here. Jordan can attest to that, so I don't know, let's make it 14 years. It doesn't smell great, but there's always some interesting light. So I want to talk about autofocusing here, which on this particular lens is very fast, unlike the people in Edmonton. Oh, that's just a little Alberta inside joke. Damn, not much reason to go 280 kilometers over there anyways. But when it comes to autofocus on this lens, it is indeed fast, and that's thanks to powerful voice coil motor, and it's just very snappy from near to far. No issues, accurate, reliable, quick, very fast. So of course, one of the main reasons to get a Viltrox is because you are going to save some money. I don't know exactly the price on this because tariffs, but it's going to be around $1,000, which is significantly cheaper than the competition. That being said, there are some compromises, and one that I am noticing on today, being such a bright sunny day, is flare characteristics, and we did see this on the 135mm as well. So what you can see here is, first off, I mean, good contrast. We're not really losing any contrast, but even shooting wide open, we're getting a little bit of ghosting. And when you stop down, that just gets a little bit tighter. You see it more distinctly. I wouldn't say it's obnoxious, but it's certainly noticeable. As well, Sunstars, this is not the lens for Sunstars. They're blah, don't even worry about it. Let's do some rhyming. Let's talk about, I don't know, LoCA Bokeh or LoCA Bokeh, either way, whichever way you want to go. So first off, LoCA, this is the longitudinal chromatic aberration that we always like to test for because it's really hard to get rid of in post. And this is where your out of focus areas can take on a color cast, and it's really yucky looking. And especially on a lens like this, which shoots such a wide aperture, you're gonna get shallow depth of field a lot. Regardless, as you can see here, the LoCA is not too bad. There's a little bit. You do see some color separation in the foreground and background out of focus areas, but it's not terrible. So I'm going to give it a passing grade there. What about Bokeh? Well, looking at Bokeh, I mean, again, this is a lens that will give you shallow depth of field, and our specular highlights take on a really pretty cat's eye effect wide open. That does stop down to quite a round aperture. I mean, this does have a little bit of an onion ring effect inside the specular highlights and a bit of a soap bubble effect as well. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's not going to be as exquisite as something you get out of the Niccolls, for example. That makes sense given the relative cost difference between those two optics. Still, out of focus areas look quite nice. I mean, the transitions from in focus to out of focus are smooth and soft enough that I'm happy to shoot this lens with shallow depth of field, but it's just not as good as, you know, a really expensive lens would deliver. So this lens, as far as a video lens goes, I mean, there's some pluses. The manual focusing ring's not terrible, and you do have that smooth aperture if you want it, but look at this breathing. This lens breathes crazy, like somebody struggling for breath at the top of Everest without oxygen. This lens has issues, and even if I use breathing compensation, I would be cropping in so tight onto this. So I don't know. I don't think it's a great cinema lens personally. Okay, so I know it's jarring that now we're appearing in the basement, but I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes on how we talk about sharpness on our lenses, because that's what we're gonna talk about next on the Viltrox 35mm here. So there's the handy dandy test chart right there, and you can see that we actually light it with twin Westcott L120B lights. We like these because first off, they give out a lot of power, but they also don't have flicker issues like you'll get with cheaper lights. So I can shoot faster shutter speeds with electronic shutter, so I don't get any sort of shake or anything like that on the tripod, and these particular lights will not give me any banding, and I really appreciate that. And we got enough power to go through these twin switch 2x3 foot rapid boxes. These give us nice soft, even lighting. Normally I've got both lights on the chart, but of course we got one here lighting us for the purpose of the video. And these are great not only for scientific test charts like this, but also for video work and even some studio work. So if you want to pick these up, definitely check out fjwestcott.com or click the link in the description below and you get the exact same kit. Okay, so sharpness on the Viltrox 35mm. I first want to say I was really impressed with the results we got on the 135 lab lens, but can a 35mm f1.2 with that very wide aperture give us the same kind of sharpness? Well, I was skeptical, but the answer is actually resounding yes. I mean, looking at our test charts here, first off, the center of the image shooting at f1.2, we get fantastic detail, excellent sharpness. We're not getting maximum contrast, I will say that, but you can see when we stop down to f2.8, we get that vibrancy and contrast back, but the detail was already the same. I mean, we're not really gaining much there. So this is a fantastic result when shooting wide open. You can see the corners here, pretty similar story. If I focus specifically in the corners, we're getting decent sharpness at f1.2, a little bit of smushy stuff, but it's not bad. Mostly, again, just loss of contrast. And then when we stop down to f2.8, vignetting goes away, contrast back, good detail. But I also appreciate that this lens is fairly flat shooting, so if the center's in focus, the corners are pretty close as well. So overall, this is a lens that's very sharp shooting, right at 1.2, and that's exactly where I want to use this lens most of the time. So conclusion time here, and let's, still going? Okay, it stopped. Wow, it's our Calgary tax dollars at work. So I really enjoyed this lens for the exact same reason that I enjoyed the Nikkor 35mm f1.2, and that's just that having that wide aperture, that shallow depth of field look really separates subjects up close from the background, and I like it. I think it's a cool look, and this is letting me do it for way less money. And look, I don't know if this is ever going to even come out for Nikon Z mount, whether there even be a competition between those two lenses. And I honestly don't know how much this new Sigma 35mm f1.2 will be, but the last one kind of left the market or is leaving the market around that $1,500 mark, and I imagine it'll be that or more. So this could still represent very good value. And what's impressed me with the whole Lab series lens so far that I've tested is they are optically well corrected, they're very sharp, and they're very well built. And the only thing that I absolutely hate about this lens is the aperture ring. I just feel having this LCD display on top, although it looks cool and techy and funky, I just don't find it very functional. I just prefer to have engraved solid silkscreen numbers on an aperture ring here rather than relying on the screen, which can often be hard to see and really kind of finicky. But regardless, this is still a fantastic lens at a great value, and it gives you a really cool look. Anyways, Viltrox seems to be doing a great job at the low end of the market price-wise, and they're obviously doing a fantastic job with their premium lenses and still keeping them at a decent price point. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot from it. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. We always appreciate that. Listen to the podcast. You know where to find it by now. It's on all your favorite podcasting apps. You can watch it on the exact same channel here as well, or you can also consider checking out PetaPixel.com's website and reading all our wonderful articles. And if you want to peruse those ad-free, consider a PetaPixel.com membership. $3 a month, $30 a year. You get discounts on the merch store as well, and access to all of our sample galleries, you know, all the stuff that you can download and pixel peep to your heart's content on any gear that we fully review. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.